Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here to talk about video games. Today, I'm talking about a game I have been eagerly awaiting since I first got a chance to play it last spring. It's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was developed by Ubisoft and released in January 2024. It's a Metroidvania, and it is available for all current consoles and PC. I played this on Xbox Series X with a code provided by Ubisoft. In this game, you play Sargon, one of the Immortals, a group of elite warriors. Things in Persia have become unbalanced, and time is behaving oddly, as the Simurgh who protects the land has been missing for 30 years. And now, the prince and heir to the throne has been abducted. It's up to you to get him back and find out what's causing all the turmoil. The start of the game is exciting. After a brief intro, you, along with your fellow immortals, are in the midst of a battle. You're given quick tips on the basics of how to play as you press forward, fighting enemies alongside your companions, listening to dialogue, and then coming up against a starter boss fight. I love that it throws you right into the action. You get a chance to play and get a feel for the game before it gives you too much story. And it feels good. Right from the start, Sargon feels amazing to control. He's fast and fluid. He flows around enemies with his dual swords and has a dash that allows him to avoid damage or get under low barriers. Combat is fairly simple. There's just one main attack button, but you can build up directional combos, hitting enemies up into the air or smashing them on the ground. I'm not much for parrying in games. I usually avoid doing it altogether. But this is one of the few games where I actually wanted to, and could, parry frequently. You can parry almost any attack, which will leave your enemy temporarily open. If they flash yellow, it's a reckless attack, and parrying this will unleash a devastating counter, with a unique animation for each enemy. Red attacks can't be parried and need to be dodged or handled in other ways. The other thing that makes parrying worthwhile is that it greatly charges your athrometer. This is like your mana bar, and you can use it to power special attacks that you'll unlock as you explore and defeat certain enemies. You can have 2 different athra surges equipped at any time. It doesn't take too long for Sargon to also get a bow to help out with enemies that are airborne or far away. Movement and platforming feels incredible, and just gets better as you play and gain more abilities. One of the first new abilities you get is Air Dash, which feels great. A single vertical wall and Air Dash can get you to a surprising number of places. You'll also find poles you can swing on and launch yourself off. Another ability you'll get is Shadow of the Simurgh, which lets you place a marker of yourself in the world, then teleport back to it. This makes for some incredibly clever platforming and timing puzzles, and is a real boon in combat as well. There are 6 time powers you get as you progress, and together they are some of the most creative, gratifying, and thematically appropriate abilities I've seen in a Metroidvania. I enjoyed discovering what they were and how they could be used so much that I'm not even going to tell you about most of them because I don't want to spoil it. The time powers aren't the only upgrades you get. There are also many different athra surges to help you in combat. You have a necklace which you can use amulets on. You find new amulet slots as well as a ton of amulets throughout the game. Some are simple buffs like more sword damage or taking less environmental damage, while others can change your playstyle by giving you new dodge options or longer combos. You'll find Soma Tree petals which will give you more health. There are also a ton of lore items. Around the middle of the map is a hub area called the Haven. Here you can use the time crystals you've been collecting, which is the main currency, to buy more potion uses, amulets, and upgrade the things you already have. You'll also need 2 alternate currencies which you can get from optional platforming challenges and secret areas for certain upgrades. I had not bought everything when I finished the game the first time. There are a lot of options. There are also a number of puzzle elements to the game, which I found quite clever, and these lead to secret treasure chests. For me, what really makes a Metroidvania is its world, and how interesting it is to traverse and discover. I'm happy to say that the Lost Crown, with its 13 different biomes, is a real joy. Things open up a lot quite early on in the game, giving you many paths to explore. Everywhere you go, you'll be seeing paths you can take, or ones that clearly require you to learn a new ability. What I really liked was that it wasn't always obvious exactly what new ability would give me access to these places. Sometimes it was easy to guess, like double jump, but often I was pleasantly surprised when I found out what it was. There are also an abundance of shortcuts you can open up as you play, making each area a little faster to get through the next time. You also will be able to fast travel very early on, you just need to open up the fast travel locations. I do think the game could have used a few more fast travel points. You get access to the map shortly after the intro and you map as you go. You can also find a character who will sell you maps of each area, showing you the paths you've not yet taken. The map is very useful. It's an accurately sized and shaped representation of each room. Vendors, quest givers, checkpoints, and fast travel spots are all marked. You can also make your own notations. There are the normal map markers, but also a new feature called memory shards. If you're in a spot you want to remember, you can take a screenshot and pin it to the map. This is a great way to remember not only that you want to go back there, but be able to see exactly what kind of barrier stood in your way. The art of the game also does a good job in helping you to learn the map and get you where you need to go. You can tell when a checkpoint is near in the form of a whack-whack tree by the strands of light that lead towards it. It's also obvious when an unopened fast travel point is near because time seems to make the environments around them stand still. Moving through this world feels so good. It can also be quite challenging. There were a number of times when I came upon a certain platforming segment that I found a little challenging, and I assumed that it went to something optional and the real path forward was somewhere else. Only to realize later that that actually was the real path and I just needed to try harder. At the same time, the level of challenge was never frustrating, and it was so rewarding to complete these sections. As I would expect in a Prince of Persia game, there are places with traps and spikes. So many spikes. Thankfully, hitting them only does a slight amount of damage and takes you back to the nearest safe platform. The platforming segments are really cool and force you to make use of all of your abilities. It felt great to swing and leap, slide down walls and dash through rotating blades, fling yourself through the air, make platforms appear, and use your shadow to get past moving obstacles that at first look insurmountable. A number of the developers on this game also worked on the Rayman series, and Rayman Legends is my favorite platformer. I can see its influence in a number of places here. The challenges to get Xerxes coins make you go through a tough platforming section to reach it, and you only get to keep it once you bring it back to a safe place, just like the skull coins in Rayman. And there's a very sandy level where you follow large centipede-like creatures as they clear a path in front of you, much like the Fiesta de los Muertos levels in Legends. Sadly, there are no musical levels here, at least that I've discovered. The boss fights in the game are another real standout that reward you for making use of all of your abilities. If you can master the parry, you'll have a real leg up with counterattacks and constant charging and use of Athra surges. Boss patterns are clear when you pay attention, and though there were a few bosses who, on the first try, I was convinced I would never even get near enough to hit, I tended to beat them all within a few tries. Shadow of Simurgh is an amazing ability in boss fights to let you avoid big attacks that can't be dodged through or jumped over, or even just let you get closer to the boss. As you get more abilities, they'll also start coming into play. Each boss is just a really impressive experience. They look amazing, and both Sargon and their animations are incredible. When you pull off a parry of a reckless attack, or on phase changes, you'll see a very anime-inspired short cutscene. Usually, I don't like when control is pulled away from me during a fight, but these short scenes just look so cool that I didn't mind at all. If you die on a major boss fight, you'll be given the option to retry again immediately, which is really nice. I did not miss the runbacks. However, you're also given the option to go back to the last whack-whack tree if you want to redo your amulets and surges, or just go somewhere else instead. Punishment for death is minimal. On death, you lose 10 time crystals, which is basically nothing. Though the map will show you the place of your last death, that's just for your information. If you want to explore in another direction, have at it, you lose nothing. I think this is the way it should be. I think The Lost Crown is an absolutely gorgeous game, though I have heard some people complain that it looks cheap. I don't really get that, but art is obviously quite subjective. You can see the footage here and decide for yourself. I love the bright and vivid colors. Each environment feels full of life and movement. Most screens let you get a glimpse way into the distance and are also populated with foreground objects. The biomes link together in a way that mostly makes sense. There are great palaces and sandy deserts, a lush forest, and, of course, some sewers. There's one area that is sea-themed that is so freaking cool that I don't want to show it to you. And I don't usually give a shit about spoilers, but I don't want to take away the experience of seeing it for yourself for the first time. I love how the environments play with time and the idea that Persia is stuck. Backgrounds will often include huge structures that are crumbling, yet frozen in midair. Time portals can restore some of these to their former glory. I've mentioned the animations a bunch already. The first Prince of Persia game had amazingly fluid animations for the time, and this game seems to respect and build on them. Sargon flows through the air like water. The sheer number of unique animations for attacks is impressive, and I love a good idle animation. Sargon will sit down, cross-legged, or stretch if you're not paying attention to him. I also really appreciate how this game makes use of Persian history and mythology. It's not just a Persian coat of paint, but the entire story is based around Mount Kaf and the Simurgh. People and things from both history and myth make appearances in the game and in the lore objects you'll be collecting. Even the checkpoints, the Wak-Wak trees, are based on Persian lore. The music in the game is also very fitting of the location. The Lost Crown gives the player a ton of options regarding difficulty and accessibility, as you would expect from a major studio. That isn't Nintendo. For people who like exploring but want a bit more direction, guided mode displays icons on the map for your next objective. This can be turned on and off at any time. In-game, there's also a character you can buy hints from to give you a slightly less obvious direction to head in. For players having difficulty with the platforming, some segments can be skipped. There are also multiple difficulty options. I played on normal, which is warrior. Specific aspects of difficulty can also be changed on their own, things like enemy and environmental damage, and the parry and dodge windows, or how much targeting assistance you get on directional attacks. On the accessibility side, you can remap controls, disable screen shake, or effects that make you have to spam a button to get free. The UI can be resized, and there are options for subtitles and fonts. It's a very fulsome set of options. In terms of performance, I have almost no complaints. It ran smoothly and looked great. There were a handful of times when the camera didn't properly follow my character for a few seconds, usually while I was running out of a room, but it didn't have much impact on my experience. I finished the game in just under 21 hours with 72% of the game complete, and I will absolutely be going back to try for 100%. I had an amazing time with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. In terms of movement, it's one of the smoothest and most satisfying games I've played, and I loved exploring Mount Kaf. This is exactly what I wanted from a big budget Metroidvania, and I'm sure I'll revisit it many times over. For me, this might just be the best Metroidvania since Hollow Knight. If you want to see more Metroidvanias, check out my review of Aeterna Noctis, or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.